Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to Homestuck Epilogues streams. Indeed. So, today, it is Saturday. It is day 2 of weekend streaming. Let's see. I was just a little distracted before pre-stream there because I was pulling up a few extra windows. Because I have an exciting announcement of sorts. So, you may or may not be aware, Steam summer sales are on. And that means it's time for me to pick up some new bonus stream games. So, I have done just that, and I would like to announce which games have been added to the arsenal. Welcome, Front Burrito. I'm just announcing here, we have 3 new games for bonus streams. So right now I know we're doing Dream Daddy. That one's going to continue for a while. I'm not exactly sure how long Dream Daddy is, what the average playtime is. But post Dream Daddy, I have 3 more games ready to rev. So I'm starting off here. We have Secret Little Haven. And let's take a look down. Hello, where's the description? There we go. Secret Little Haven is a game about old computers, community, creativity, fandom, gender, and the internet. Alex Cole is a teenage trans girl in 1999 who has yet to figure herself out. She says she spends much of her free time on the internet, browsing a fan forum for her favorite magical girl show and chatting with her friends. Join her on her story of self-discovery through friendship and media as she explores her computer for the treasures and curiosities of the early internet. Play with Sanctuary OS, an entire operating system developed in Unity with nearly a dozen applications such as a web browser, chat client, doll maker, and text editor, as well as an entire web forum for you to search through. Sanctuary OS captures the magic and wonder of old computers and of the tight-knit sites and communities formed in the early days of the web. Explore the internet, explore yourself, find haven in life's small comforts. So, this one I've heard is a pretty short play, but very, very good, and I'm super excited to get into it. Another one that I've heard fantastic things about, second one that I have purchased for bonus stream, playthrough in the future is We Know the Devil, which is another one I've heard fantastic things about. There's an article about it, and about the themes of this game that I have had bookmarked for months and months that I haven't looked at yet because I've been waiting to actually play it so that I don't get spoiled. But yes, I've heard fantastic things about it. So, brief description. Anyone can kill the devil. That's why they always make teens the vampire slayers, the magical girls. But some kids can't even get that right. And that's why Mean Girl Neptune, Tomboy Jupiter, and Shy Venus have to endure one more week of summer camp and each other, singing boring songs about Jesus, doing busy work for adults, and hoping God's radio can't hear them. Before they can leave the summer scouts, they've got to spend 12 hours in the loneliest cabin in the woods and wait for the devil to come and live through the night. Or not. You know. We Know the Devil is a group relationship horror visual novel created by Weirdo Game Critic and Indefensible Twitter account haver AVB, and illustrator and comics artist Mia Schwartz, with chilling 80s horrors and soundtrack by Alec Lambert, live photo backgrounds taken with disposable cameras in the terrifying woods where we live, and aesthetic touches and UI by Lulu Blue. We Know the Devil is a story about everyone who made you cry at summer camp. It's about missing your Sailor Moon VHS tapes. It's about how being irresponsible is contagious. It's about how knowing that in a group of 3, 2 of you will always be closer than the other. And it's about being weird and queer and wrong and hoping against hope no one will find out when the actual, literal devil comes for you. So, another intriguing tale. I just heard fantastic things about this. And it's very queer, which is always a big ol' plus. And from the same people who made We Know the Devil, we have Heaven Will Be Mine, And that We Know the Devil is a visual novel game, as is Heaven Will Be Mine. And yes, they're from the same creators, so they are both fantastic games for sure. Little look at Heaven Will Be Mine. It's 1981, and the dream of a new home in space for all humanity is dead. After fighting for decades against an intangible and ephemeral existential threat from beyond the solar system, Earth Command has declared the war effort a huge waste of time. The honeymoon is over, and a future of glittering cities across the solar system and cosmic battles between giant robots just isn't going to happen. The outcome is clear. It's time to come home. But we don't care. Giant robots may not make any sense. Celestial cities across the solar system are silly dreams. They are, however, extremely awesome. We, the girls who were raised in space to be special and incredible and pave the way for a new future, aren't giving up so easily. We've got invincible ship cells for ferrying human bodies through time and space, and we have the weight and power to make the fantasy of the future real. We're not going out without a fight. Heaven Will Be Mine is a queer science fiction mecha visual novel from the creators of queer cult horror visual novel We Know the Devil, about joyriding mecha, kissing your enemies, and fighting gravity's pull. Follow three women piloting giant robots in the last days of an alternate 1980s space program fighting for humanity's future, or ditching their jobs to make out with each other instead. And this is one, again, there's multiple perspectives here, and so that's, yes, I will not read the entire thing, but that is Heaven Will Be Mine, and that is the group of games that have been added to the bonus stream arsenal. So we officially, I didn't really know what we were going to do after Dream Daddy yet, but we got 3 more games locked and loaded now, so get excited for that. Of course, still be excited for Dream Daddy. Dream Daddy's still going strong. Next Tuesday is going to be the final Dream Daddy stream before I leave for camp. Oh my goodness. I am leaving very soon. Holy shit. Still got lots of prep to do, but excited. Excited to go. Yes, and in terms of these weekend streams, next weekend will also be the final stream. Those would be the streams that will be on July... What the fuck dates are next week? July 5th and 6th. Yes. Those will be the last ones because I am leaving on the 8th. So. That is pre-stream announcements. Sorry, I'm just gonna take my sweater off. It's fucking warm in my room. Okay. That's announcements for today. Those games are looking very good, very exciting. I do have one more. We have a birthday coming up, or happened already. But, you know, I don't want to bust that surprise out before said person is present. Yes. Okay. I think that's everything for now. So, it's time to get started with Candy. So, we are on Chapter 12. We are likely going to pass by Chapter 14 during the stream. Just so you know, I will not be reading Chapter 14 in full because it is very fucking graphic. It is a very fucking graphic depiction of suicide. I did give it a read over before stream and came up with basically the cliff notes of, like, what Dirk was trying to say. Like, he mentions a couple other things about feeling the timeline fall apart and, like, those sorts of things, that would be interesting talking points, but I'm not gonna read all of the details because it does get very, very graphic. So, yes. So you're all aware, that's how that's going to be handled. No worries necessary about having to hear that all over again. We're just going to kind of skate on by with that one. Okay, I'm going to have some water, and we'll start on Chapter 12. Holy fucking yikes. Good God, this one. Okay. Here we go. "12. Jake wakes up to the unfamiliar feeling of a cheek on his chest and a thigh slung over his stomach. Not that waking up to limbs entwined with some fleeting dalliance was an unfamiliar sensation by any means, but this time something seems off. He's afraid to open his eyes because he can't remember the last few days. The very last thing he does remember, if any of his recollections are to be trusted, is corking open a bottle of alchemized Merlot at 9 in the morning, as one does, and then doing a brisk session of target practice, which was interrupted by... oh, fuck. Jake's eyes snap open. His ceiling looks the same as it always does, if a bit tizzy, with the eye-splitting headache sending nails of pain through his skull. The gold-flecked flowers carved into his wood-paneled ceiling glitter in the morning light. Jake stares very hard at them because he doesn't want to look down and confirm his worst fears. But his worst fears are confirmed for him without him having to do anything, unfortunately, which seems par for the course. Good morning. Jane sits up in bed and stretches her arms over her head. Her body is a perfect hourglass in naked profile. Jake's eyes trace the curve of her spine against his will. They linger in the dip above her hips. Her hair is tousled and she's not wearing her glasses. Jake actually has to catch his breath at the sight of her. It's not her attractiveness that was ever in question. It's everything else about this situation which is the problem. Jane, what in the blazes happened? She turns to face him, giggling into her hand. Why, Jake, I would imagine that you are practiced enough at sexual congress at this point that I shouldn't have to explain it to you. Jane, I am quite aware of my reputation, but I'm not some loose strumpet who enters into relations thoughtlessly. Oh, lighten up. Jane blinks and touches a hand to her collarbone, like she doesn't quite recognize herself. Oh dear, did you hear what I just said? Lighten up? It's been quite a while since I thought that way. My, it feels freeing to say. Lighten up, Jake. The election's off. The economy is stable. Dirk is probably never going to talk to either of us ever again. And we finally fucked. Oh, wow. That's okay, Jane. I know where this is going, and I know where it already went, and I'm uncomfortable. Did we indeed fuck? Was it merely playing honky-tonky with our digits, or did we do the old gamma hooch? Or even worse, the beard splitting? What the fuck me sitting at my computer crying once again. Jake, what the fuck does any of that mean? I don't know what any of that means, Jake, but we definitely did it all. She crawls towards him with a goofy smile, padding along unsteadily because she can't see shit without her spectacles. Jake shoots up in bed and scuttles all the way back until his shoulders hit the frame. Something catches the corner of his eye and he swivels his head around to see the trickster lollipop on his bedside table. It sits, like evidence at a murder scene, beneath an empty bottle of vodka and far more sets of underwear than the number of people accounted for in the room. Jake says, but Jane shuts him up with a finger over his lips. She slides into his lap and settles her bottom into the space between his thighs. There's a blanket between the lurid parts of their naked bodies, but Jake cannot rightly move unless he wishes to be dearly compromised. He stutters through several objections, but Jane is plucking all his strings quite mercilessly. He feels like a snake about to be necked by a mongoose. What's the meaning of the lollipop? I thought we agreed never to use the trickster mode when we were, unsupervised. What? The lollipop was your idea. That sounds like it was probably gaslighting. Don't like that. I must protest, Jane. That does not seem like something that I would agree to in the right state of mind. Well, I'm not sure either of us were exactly in the right state of mind, to be honest. We, had quite a bit to drink over the course of the day, and one thing led to another. Led to partaking in scandalous confections? I don't know what to tell you, Jake. I'm not pulling your leg. In fact, you were the one doing the vigorous leg pulling last night. Criminy. Jane's expression falls. She'd been feeling quite buoyed after a night of jolly, if inebriated, fun, but Jake does not seem to share her enthusiasm. Dear me, was that innuendo a bit too much? I'm sorry, I'm not very good at this. No, but it's not that. Jane, all of this feels wrong. Now, I don't want you to get the wrong idea here. You're a dear friend, and I care for you deeply, but I think that what happened between us might have merely been the result of profound inebriation. Jake regrets the statement as soon as the words leave his mouth. Jane looks absolutely crushed. Devastated. Like Jake just ripped the rug out from underneath her entire universe. But man, if that's the truth, you gotta get that shit out there. What? Are you saying everything we did, it meant nothing to you? That isn't what I meant. Jane, Jane stares up at him, her eyes so bright they're practically clear, like tropical water on a sunny day. She looks like girls do right before they're about to cry. Jake. Oh, how could he deny her anything? What was I even saying? I'm being terribly foolish. Sure, we may have overdone it a bit on the substance, perhaps. But you know what? To hell with it. I might not remember everything that happened last night, but I'm sure my passions wouldn't lead me astray. You've always been a lovely girl, Jane, and you've become an even lovelier woman. Why, it's a surprise it didn't happen sooner. May as well, just go with it. Oh, no, you don't have to convince yourself of anything. If you have to convince yourself, it's not a good situation. It's not the most rousing speech Jake has ever given, but it seems satisfactory enough for Jane. He releases a tremendously relieved sigh when Jane breaks into a smile. Oh, Jake. He flails when she kisses him. But this time, there's no doubt he hasn't said no. Oh, don't like any of this. Don't like everything that's happened in this chapter. Not on board. I mean, just, like, from the very beginning, the foundation of their relationship could hardly be considered a foundation, and then, you know, Jake wanting to be the people pleaser, just, it gets so much worse, which is absolutely not to blame him. Jane should be listening to how he's feeling. Jane should know this about him, and fucking, like, not manipulate the fact that he is the kind of person who wants everyone to be happy and everything to be calm, even sometimes at his own expense. They've known each other for so long. She should know this about him and not be fucking manipulating it and fucking listening to his feelings and not being horrible. Oh, there's a lot happening here. I feel like I'm not quite explaining myself properly because I'm just so... this upsets me very much. Okay, let's go going. Oh, God, this... Okay. Here we go. Dave going looking for Dirk and finding his note. 13. Dave and Dirk don't talk that much about the heavy stuff. They don't need to. Dave can hear his brother's voice in his head. Not like literally, that would be insane, but Dave knows what his bro's like. Dirk, or a version of him, instilled in Dave a way of living and thinking that would, for better or worse, persist far beyond the first 13 years of his upbringing. And even on Earthsea, it'd be kind of tough to say the dude's general overbearing demeanor wasn't sufficient to perpetuate the conditioning. So it's rare that he has to guess what Dirk would say he should do. Oh, my heart. So first of all, this is an obvious grab at the people who read Meat first. You know, not like literally, but, you know, kinda literally, because Dirk's literally in Dave's fucking head. But yeah, and then making reference to a version of him instills Dave the way of living that would, for better or for worse, persist far beyond the first 13 years of his upbringing, referring to, of course, Dave trying to overcome the trauma of being raised by bro in the way that bro raised him, and all that fucked up shit. But when it comes to the boondoggle involved with triangulating his intrapersonal relationship with Jade and Carcat, Dave is shooting blanks. That's because it's Candy Timeline, Dirk doesn't have his fucko powers anymore, and he's not literally in your head. He has no idea what to do, no idea what to say, and for once, the ghost in his head doesn't either. Once he might have expected the end of the haunting to come as a relief, but now that he finally sits quietly in his own mind, with nothing but his meager faculties to guide his hand, the silence is deafening. There's no time to waste, so he flies directly to his bro's studio. He needs this. He needs his bro to tell him what to do. No, you don't, Dave. You can be an independent motherfucker. You don't need him to be all up in your head and your business. Whatever issues the guy might have, Dave has always been able to count on Dirk to give him, as Jake might say, the solid dick. Dave knocks on the door, loud, but there's no answer. Nothing when he calls out Dirk's name, either. Then he tries the knob, and the door swings right open. Hey, bro, are you there? Still no answer. Dave lets himself in. It's not like his bro would actually mind. They're family, after all. Bro, hey. Silence throughout the studio. Dave starts flitting from room to room, checking for any signs of Dirk. This is strange. The guy doesn't usually go out to do things unless those things are actively being televised. Dude, are you, like, gone? I have something I really need to talk to you about. Dave all but jumps out of his skin with a shriek when he turns to find the last individual in the world he expected or wanted to see. Ugh, Gamzee. Honk. Jesus fuck! Hey, what's shaking, my man? Gamzee, what the fuck? God, I think I shit my pants. I'm sorry to hear that, my fine brother. Gamzee, what the fuck are you doing here? Did you follow me here? No, man. I've been waiting for you. Honk. Oh, that's so much better. Why the fuck are you doing that? Because I'm here to bring you the good news. The news of what? The news of me, my motherfucker. I'm here to help you get all up and redeemed from your wicked sins. Put you on a real arc to salvation, honk. Oh my fucking god. What fucking sins? Where's Dirk? There's no need to worry about him. You're gonna get what's best for you. He told me that, and I'm gonna make sure his wish makes like a motherfucking miracle and gets true. Honk. Did I just walk into a horror movie? Did my bro get fucking axe murdered by a clown? Jesus Christ. Don't tell me his body is down in the basement right now. You don't got any need to go and concern yourself with his mortal flesh body out here in this candy cane whirlpool beyond the infinite black wink of the wicked singularity, my ninja. A sack of meat and bones in one life or the next is only a means for the final totality that will damn and raise us all in brilliant apotheosis. In the one true life, we all flow from the one true pen, and every head rolls down the path to the one true hand. What the fuck did did any of that mean? Are you drunk? Ugh, never mind, I don't give a shit. Out of my way, Pagliacci. Okay, so Gamzee, of course, you know, the whole redeemed thing is a shtick, and he's still firmly loyal to Lord English. So, see, I forgot that he said all this. So, Candy Cane Whirlpool, beyond the infinite black wink of the wicked singularity. So he's referring to the fact that this candy timeline is officially beyond the reach of canon, so to speak. I think. Kinda hard to tell with Gamzee. Yes, in the one true life, we all flow from the one true pen, and every head rolls down the path to the one true hand. I wish I didn't have to pay attention to the things that he says. Because he's just so... Ugh. Now this, apotheosis, or apotheosis, however the fuck you're supposed to pronounce it, is a very specific, let's see, so apotheosis, the highest point in the development of something, the culmination or climax, elevation of someone to divine status or deification. Yeah. Damn, you know, I haven't actually seen much writing about what specifically Gamzee says here, because I'm having a bit of trouble trying to puzzle it together myself. I haven't seen much discussion of it. Would have liked to see some sort of discussion of it. Because it's, unfortunately, it is definitely not just all complete bullshit. Like, there's something in here that is actually connecting to what the fuck is happening here. Or at least in connection specifically to Gamzee's beliefs. So, okay, I'm just giving another look over. I guess it's kind of like we all come from the same place, we all return to the same place. I don't know, man, fuck Gamzee. Fuck the fact that I actually have to pay attention to what he's saying here. Most of Candy, I don't have to pay attention to what he's saying. But in this case, there might be something here to decipher. Dave has had enough of this buffoon. He pushes Gamzee aside, and the clown goes absolutely flying into one of Dirk's messy workbenches. The vagrant jester ricochets off disorganized piles of scrap metal and anime paraphernalia like a Tony Hawk jackass, clipping and flopping into unending oblivion of pain. God, does that take me back. I played a lot of the Tony Hawk games as a kid. For a variety of systems. The circus ruckus starts a vicious Rube Goldberg machine of cartoon physics, knocking every cinder block, crusty puppet, and Japanese sword into a tornado's radius off balance and avalanching them catastrophically onto the hapless clown's torso. Dave gives only a second glance to the ludicrous pandemonium. He blows open the door to the stairwell and heads down, bracing himself for the worst. But he doesn't find Dirk in the basement either. The only thing of note is a slumped figure in the center of the storage room, covered in a thin sheet. Dave approaches and rips it off to discover... Wait, what is this? It's obviously a robot, but it's a complete mess. The form is feminine, but the head is still bald, and the face has no cover, revealing its skull-like interior. The body doesn't have any proper protective plating yet, so it's all a mess of wires and loose mechanical bits. Clearly a work in progress. But Dave can't help but wonder what exactly it is that Dirk's been working on here. Then Dave notices the note. It's carefully folded in the limp palm of the robot's hand. His heart nearly jumps into his throat, and something in his stomach drops. Oh no. Oh no, indeed. So, 14. I'm not going to be reading this chapter in full. This is an incredibly graphic chapter. I'd argue the most graphic chapter in the entirety of the epilogues. And I don't want to read this out loud. It's an incredibly uncomfortable chapter to read. The Cliff Notes version, of course, is that this is the chapter where Dirk kills himself. He hangs himself. And basically his reason for doing this is, like, he feels the disconnect from canon, so to speak. He feels the disconnect from his ultimate self and the dissipation of truth, relevance, and essentiality. And he just doesn't see the purpose of existing anymore. And that's pretty much the Cliff Notes version of this chapter. Yeah, there's just, a couple of lines I'll highlight that are not part of the graphic description of his actions. But, so this chunk here, he says, first, there was the literal termination of organic processes, which is to say, the destruction of the meat, which of course is then referring as well to destruction of the meat in, canon, so to speak. Welcome, Aleph. We're just doing a very brief look at chapter 14, and then moving right on along. I am not reading the whole thing. I've just got, like, just Cliff Notes version, and then we are definitely moving forward from this as fast as possible. But yes, and then follows the dissolution of the ego, and you have quite the ego to dissolve, one that has flown so high above the forest that you can no longer see the trees, it cannot even conceive of trees as material substance with objective meaning. Of course, referring to his as he called it, flying high above the tapestry of canon, is kind of how he referred to it in Meat, being able to see the unfolding of everything with the people looking like ants and all that jazz. And we'll close off with just the final line. When you think so little of yourself as a moral character, any act of self-termination will result in a death that is just. Which is fucking heartbreaking. It's fucking heartbreaking. Calls into question as well how the fuck God tier death mechanics work, but you know what? Those have always been kind of sketchy. Okay. So, Dirk's funeral. Here we are. "15. The rain is coming down in sheets. It rains just seldom enough on this idyllic world that most of its inhabitants are conditioned to leave their homes without umbrellas, and today they're paying for it. The press clamors at the edges of the funeral procession, getting soaked to the bone and or exoskeleton. John ducks his head away from the flash of cameras, still uncomfortable with his position among the pallbearers. He didn't know Dirk that well, but he couldn't refuse a direct request from a grieving bro. He ventures a glance at Dave, who was at the front of the line carrying a smaller casket containing Dirk's decapitated head. Fucking gruesome. Like, just fucking use one casket. God. The actual casket is unusually heavy, not just because Jane insisted on having it crafted from the finest quality timber on the planet, but also because for some unfathomable reason, Dirk is going to be buried with every single one of his shitty anime swords. It would be absurd were it not so tragic and possibly also predictable. Gamzee fumbles with his corner of the casket when it comes to set it down in the cathedral, upsets the balance of the whole thing, and sends it careening down so hard that the noise of it crashes right through the stage. Oh, the nose of it crashes right through the stage. God. I fucking hate everything about Gamzee. Oops, motherfuckers. Oops. It's fine, Gams. Accidents happen. That's more than oops. What the fuck? John presses his mouth into a flat line. He looks at Dirk's casket sitting diagonally in a hole in the floor and popped about 13% of the way open. A few shitty swords seem to have made a valiant effort to escape, but didn't quite make it all the way. He looks at Dave, who appears even more stoic than usual, with his wet hair plastered to his forehead. He looks at Roxy, who is staring at the floor, rather beside herself with grief. Then, finally, he looks back to Gamzee, who offers two dubiously sympathetic whoops in response. Jesus. I hate this too, and I can't wait to read the part where he dies. Today is not the day to push it, he thinks to himself. He forces a smile, kisses Roxy on the cheek, and goes to take his seat in the front row of the pews. At the back of the nave, devastated fans of Rumble in the Pumpkin Patch are trying to force their way inside past the barrier of reporters. Jane drags Jake off by the wrist to deal with them as Roxy approaches the pulpit, looking miserably ghost-like in her violet mourning clothes. Hey, thanks everyone for joining me today. She folds her hands in front of her. Her earrings light up as the reporters at the back take about 6 million pictures of her tear-stained face. She sniffs, then hawks back a whole mouthful of snot. The sound is very much in contrast with the delicate, feminine manner with which she tugs the tissue out of her modest cleavage in order to dab at her eyes. See, I don't understand the logic of keeping tissue in your cleavage, because, like, you get sweaty there just like everywhere else. It just doesn't seem like a good place to keep tissues. Wow, now that I'm up here, it's like, I don't know, I have no idea what to say. Of course she doesn't. Dirk was her first BFF, her first love, and at one time, the only other human being left on Earth. She rolls the wet tissue between her fingers. And I guess that's because there is nothing to say. There's no words to describe how I felt about Dirk Strider. Even though he left a note that had hella words in it, they might as well have been saying nothing. Which is just like Dirk, I guess. To leave us with a load of bullshit and no idea why he did what he did. So I'm just gonna say that I'm glad that he was in my life, and give it over to someone who's way more eloquent than me. Dave, okay. Oh dear. Yeah, Roxy's just tongue-tied. She can be just as eloquent as Dave, but definitely tongue-tied here, understandably. Dave gets to his feet, unwinding his fingers from Jade's. He walks to the pulpit with his usual smoothness, but pauses behind a giant stained glass window to run the heel of his palm under his shades. The camera bulbs start clacking away like crazy. John whirls around in his seat to glare at the reporters, putting a finger to his mouth to shoosh them. He watches a tiny, white carapace chess guy sheepishly press the flash button on his camera as quietly as possible. Pressing the flash button quietly does not change the fact that flashes are loud and disruptive. It takes Dave a moment to gather himself when he reaches the lectern, but when he speaks, his voice is steady and even. Hey guys, want to apologize in advance, because this is about to get a little real. Realer than that 3/4 of a corpse I'm standing about 2 feet from right now. I mean, I totally hate to ruin everyone's mood on a day where we've gathered to think deep thoughts about how one of us just went and fucking off themselves. Not like we're gonna be stumbling through our lives constantly experiencing intrusive thoughts about this specific event or anything. Hey, remember what our good pal Dirk looked like with no head? Pretty hard to forget since getting decapitated was like his 3rd favorite hobby. So it's not so much the body that's the problem, but the sort of existential realization of finality, I guess. Though I ain't gonna lie, the body's starting to stink. Sorry, all that shit I just said was a load of absolute bull meant to deflect from the fact that I'm pretty shook about this. I used to do that a lot. Like, basically every time I opened my mouth. Most of you know this, but I had a kinda shitty childhood. Not gonna go into details, but long story short, it was technically my good old bro dad here's fault. Not this specific version of him. The one I grew up with was, he was... Dave hesitates. His voice might be cracking, but it's subtle. God, yeah, this is really traumatized Dave. I mean, like, understatement of a century, I know, but... He was just an absolute bastard, no offense to the dead. Yeah, okay, sure, he taught me a ton of shit that, if we're being generous, was in theory useful. But he didn't give a single solitary shit about raising a well-adjusted kid, or raising a kid in general. I was more like his disciple, and all that mattered was his grand design or what the fuck ever. And I know Dirk struggled with, you know, the idea that he could eventually become that kind of person. Or even worse, that he was somehow cosmically fated to become that person, no matter what he wanted or did to prevent it. That's probably how he managed to off himself in the first place, considering how the mechanics of God tier works. Maybe he'd been struggling with that the whole time we've been here on Earth C. Who knows with him? He was always so inside his own head, I can't even imagine what wild train of thought led him to decide that this was the only option. But I don't think he'd want us beating ourselves up about it, or torturing ourselves trying to figure out what it fucking meant. Especially Jake, Jane, and Roxy. He loved you guys, and he wouldn't do anything to hurt you. Well, not intentionally, I mean. Anyway, all that shit about my bro, I'm over that. Like, as much as you can get over it. There's a subconscious response to certain stimuli you can't exactly rewire, but the conscious part of my brain is all like, shit, dude. I feel great. What the fuck is hypervigilance? I love being alive and having all these friends who care about me and don't beat the shit out of me every day of my life, etc. And part of that's because I got to be friends with Dirk. It was great knowing this rad version of my childhood guardian who wasn't completely batshit insane. And, like, just chill with him. Shoot the shit in freestyle or debate dumb crap without it being a federal fucking issue. And more than that, he treated me like I was on level with him. He let me give him shit for being a pretentious blowhard every day of his life. Which I did, but despite that, I looked up to him. The way I always felt like I should have been looking up to my bro. The way I wanted to look up to my bro, but couldn't. Dirk taught me so much shit I didn't know I needed from him. I mean, picking up Dirk's opinions was unavoidable if you ever hung out with him, considering he never shuts his fucking mouth. But I'm glad he didn't. He taught me about combat, philosophy, life. And I'm sure had he not killed himself the literal day I was finally going to ask him romantic advice, he would have taught me about love too. So in the end, I really got no idea how the fuck I'm supposed to feel right now. But that's probably okay, right? Like, it's okay to not know how to feel when someone dies. It's okay to not have all the answers. I wish Dirk was still alive so I could tell him that. But he's not, so... Dave takes a deep, shuddering breath and actually takes off his shades to wipe away the tears that are pooling in his eyes. I guess that's all I got to say about that. Yeah. Wow, Dave gives a fucking speech. Yeah, there are definitely some moments in there where it's like, oh, yikes, there sure is some, yeah, Aleph, yikes, definitely some yikes, but yeah, just the whole, and then that combat philosophy, life, love comes up again. Yeah, I mean, like, Dave and Dirk's relationship was always destined to be a very complicated one, and it's... I mean, I feel like he speaks for himself pretty well here. I don't know what else I can really add. Jake is openly weeping by the time the speech is over, his face buried in Jane's breasts. She's remarkably composed, looking more irritated than anything at her gentleman companion is getting snot all over her attractively tailored power suit. Dave leaves the stage, face turned away from the glaring of the camera lights, and Roxy takes her place at the pulpit once again. Oh God, Gamzee's coming up, Jesus. Anyone else have a eulogy they'd like to give? I think the best way we can honor Dirk's memory at this point is to spew an untold number of words into the void. As many as we fucking can. Sorry, I'm just gonna have a bit of water before we keep going. Okay. Rose, who had been staring off into space with a peculiar expression on her face during Dave's speech, snaps to attention. She brushes Kanaya's hand off her lap and goes to stand, but is interrupted by the horrible, squelching sound of Gamzee lumbering to his feet in his wet, oversized boots. He saunters up to the pulpit with the precise, lazy gait of one who's grown far too comfortable with a lifelong tendency of unwittingly inspiring others' contempt, and braces his arms on either side of the lectern. If inside this church there were an adjacent room full of wet dogs eating garbage, everyone in attendance would have run to that room immediately to escape the stench emanating from this smiling clown. Suddenly, his expression distorts to become something which can only be described as a leer. Welcome, Sneak Cat. I'm so sorry you came just in time for the worst part. What's up on this most righteous and frowny of days, my bitches? Oh my God, no one wants to hear anything you have to say, Gamzee. You still got it, brother. My motherfucker comedy's in the prey block. That mirthful noise you holler still slaps my mang. It's not a fucking joke. Gamzee clears his throat quite loudly and abruptly, sending ear-shattering echoes throughout the church. It sounds like someone just threw a toilet in a wood chipper. Ninjas and gentlehoes, we gather up in this shrine of worship to whatever false idols or messiahs these homies get their devotion on for. But that's okay, because we're motherfucking unified today, no matter what our bad and different beliefs say at us to our piety pans. We've come in celebration of the life and death of the one and only, a true choice piece of man bitch what whom I hardly ever knew, the Dirkster. Boo! God, I'm really feeling Carcat in this. In this. Fucking. Yeah. Aleph. Oh, the name is Buckwheat, but I don't want Gamzee to answer in the affirmative. Fucking. Fuck Dirk. I mean, Dirk did some shit in Meat, but, like, this just... There's so much happening here! Fuck Gamzee. Oh my God. Fuck Gamzee, and fuck the fact that I have to actually read words that are coming out of his mouth again. Like... Yeah, too soon. Yeah, it's only chapter 15, Sneak Cat. Give it a few more. Oh, jeez. Fuck Gamzee. Oh... God, I have to keep reading the words that are coming from his mouth. Then you might be up and wondering, what place have I got all orating on the subject of the legend of this fine fellow? That's a good question, my mirthful brothers. I may not be all up and learned about his life, but I've got deep spiritual connections to his death. It just so happened that fate brought me to his doorstep on the very day that he went and motherfucking choked it off at the neck. Jesus Christ. One of the most spiritually awakening moments in my life. In such a short time, he taught me so much. This was no coincidence. It was a higher power guiding my path. These powers made sure that I would be there to receive a great warrior's final message and relay it to you on this dark and dreary day of death. Honk. The clown thrusts his hand somewhere beneath the waistband of his pants and starts obscenely rooting around. He retrieves a piece of paper, crumpled and soaked from the rain outside, and attempts to smooth it over the lectern. The wet paper breaks apart immediately beneath his oafish clown paws. Oh, Gamzee. You don't want to deal with Gamzee. That's fair. I'll message you on Discord when we're finished with this chapter. I think we get some John and Terzi after this that is a lot nicer to read. Or maybe, is the next one when they're sitting in Rosenkanai's kitchen? Either way, I'm pretty sure the next chapter gives us a brief reprieve from Gamzee. Yeah, I'll let you know when you can come back. Yeah. I cannot blame you for not wanting to hear this. Oh god, so Dirk's final words given to Gamzee, and he fucking breaks and he's like, well, guess I'm just gonna wing it. Aw, shiz. Guess I gotta up and wing it. Dirk's close friends in the audience look on with anxious anticipation, eager to hear whatever important message Dirk had apparently handed down to Gamzee to be passed on. John can't seem to find that optimism himself. Gamzee draws a big fat breath and begins his speech. You ever wake up and sit down to drop... Oh, Jesus, fuck. Okay. You ever wake up and sit down and drop a fat one on the load gaper, but your flesh body just ain't ready to go and duck it out yet? I hate this. I'm losing so much of my fucking dignity right now with this. This is awful. The clown's words hang heavily in the air. He scans the crowd, silent for an uncomfortable while, as if his question weren't rhetorical and he was expecting an answer that will never come. That's what life was like for the D-Man. A man born with a purpose, a plan, but the wicked ways of this world stole that away from him. It goes on like this for some time. Members of the audience ride out the clown's eulogy with an admirable sense of grit and determination, though visibly reacting with full body spasms every time the preacher issues another punctuating honk or deeply inappropriate turn of phrase. Karkat continues heckling him all throughout, and at one point delivers no less than 30 uninterrupted instances of the phrase, "Fuck you!" Throughout most of the eulogy, Roxy continues attempting to urge others to settle down and give him a chance, based on the many endorsements she's heard of his spiritual oration skills. But even she gives up on this effort when one's especially boisterous honk results in Gamzee knocking over the lectern entirely, which he does not bother to pick up. Instead, he proceeds with his eulogy as if nothing happened, while openly scratching an itch beneath his codpiece. At this point, Dave has had enough and exits the church. Karkat follows him. Gamzee inhales deeply, preparing to launch into what quite possibly will be the full body of his speech, rather than one or two mercifully concluding remarks. Roxy stands up and begins clapping loudly to bring a heroic end to the elocutionary horror show. God. Wow, wasn't that great, folks? Wow, just wow, I knew this guy wouldn't let us down. Bravo! Damn, I feel like if I heard another word this guy said, I never heard another word this guy said, that'd be fine, because it was all just so perfect. Anything more would only dampen this perfect memory he gave us. Take a bow, Gamzee, and then, oh yeah, the exit's that way. And a long honk, and glad that's fucking over. She nudges Jake. Right, for a palate cleanser. Do we get more Gamzee in this chapter? There is no more Gamzee in this chapter. I'm going to take a brief second to let Sneak Cat know that the coast is clear. Okay. There. Alright. So, continuing on. Glad that's over. She nudges Jake. Hey, dude, can you get up there and say something as, like, a palate cleanser? Oof. He was your best bro. Come on, and surely you got something in your heart to say. Oh, okay. Hey, everybody, it's Jake's turn. He's got a few words he'd like to say about our dear departed buddy. Oh, for fuck's sake. John mutters a few imprecations under his breath and gets up before Jake can take the stage. He's concerned about Dave and heads for the exit, beating Gamzee there easily. Gamzee strolling so leisurely, in fact, he's barely even made it off the stage yet. John pushes out into the churchyard. The rain has receded into a light drizzle, which is nice. Much less like being trapped in a high-pressure shower and more like being sprayed with a plant mister. He looks around the largely decorative graveyard and spots Dave and Karkat huddled together beneath an eave of the churchyard walls. John begins to move towards them, but stops when he notices how close together they're standing. Dave's got his suit jacket unbuttoned and pulled over Karkat's head to shield him from the rain. Karkat's the one talking, his caterpillar eyebrows furrowed, but his gaze is soft. Whatever he's saying makes Dave turn his face away, but Karkat winds a hand into his shirt and tugs him in, forcing him to make eye contact. They both go still, seeming to finally realize how close their faces have gotten, how Karkat's fingers are brushed down the lengths of Dave's torso. Dave dips down so that their noses are bumping. Karkat's eyes are so wide it's amazing they don't pop out. For a moment, it looks like they're going to... John sneezes. Dave and Karkat jump apart like opposing magnets. Oops. God damn it, John. God damn it, John. Welcome back, Sneak Cat, and oh shit, rip. Understood. My Wi-Fi has been holding up a lot better than it was yesterday, so I'm enjoying that. But yeah, no, I fully understand internet connection issues. Hi guys. John. God damn it, John. John waves dopily and hopes that he doesn't look as buffoonish and mortified as he feels. Dave and Karkat are still staring at each other from the corners of their eyes, warily. Something silent and tense passes between them. They make a quick recovery. Hey. I see that even you couldn't bear Gamzee's asinine, brutal, and 100% non-consensual assault on your listen creators, and also the basic decency which sapient beings apparently owe to one another on this planet. No, actually, I listened to the entire thing. I have no idea why I did that. Now I have this whole memory in my head that I could have definitely lived without. I was just worried because you didn't come back. Dave, are you okay? Dave glances at Karkat again. He smiles. It's a sad smile, but it's there. Yeah, well, no. But it's okay to not be okay about this specific thing, I think. So for once, I think I'm having, like, a totally unironically normal emotional reaction to a thing, which loops back around to being okay. In fact, I'm probably the okayest I've ever been, objectively. Are you sure? That was 100 words to express a 3-letter sentiment. I'd say he's doing fine. Because I was thinking... Oh geez, this conversation. John chews the inside of his mouth and blinks down at his hands. Now that he's paused to think a little, what he's about to offer is a pretty weird way to console a friend after the death of a loved one. Do you want me to go back? Dave quirks an eyebrow. Go back? With my retcon powers. I could go back and stop him. Dude. Dave says, at the same time as Karkat shouts, John! What? Do you not have an inch of goddamn sense in that thick fucking skull of yours? What? John, come on, what are my powers? Time travel? So you don't think I would have already done that if I thought it was a good idea? Well, okay, yeah, obviously. But if you did do it, we wouldn't even know right now, because it would have just made a new timeline where Dirk didn't kill himself. That's how time travel works, right? Well, actually... Dave makes a wavy hand gesture that implies he's about to jump into a rant about causality or whatever. John cuts him off. But if I retcon it, then it's like it never happened. Then it's like it never even happened. We wouldn't have to we wouldn't have had this terrible funeral at all. But, like, here's the deal with, like, the retconning stuff, right? Because he's like, if it happened, we wouldn't have, you know, if I go back and fix it, then none of this would happen. Like, this timeline would still exist. The pre-retcon timeline still, like, existed and happened and was the reality for everyone else who came from that timeline. So even if theoretically John went back and in some timeline stopped Dirk from doing this, it still wouldn't affect this reality. Aw, damn. Alright, good night, Sneak Cat. Hopefully your connection improves at another time. Like, they still wouldn't know in this reality. Like, I'm fairly certain that is how the retcon powers work, right? Anyway. That is how I believe things work. May or may not be correct, but that is my understanding. I don't know, dude. That's a little fucked up, actually. You think so? Yeah. Dirk was a complicated guy. Dude obviously had reasons for doing what he did. If you go back and just rewrite his decision, that's like denying him his personal autonomy. Huh. I didn't think about it that way. I don't agree with Dave at all here, and I think it's pretty, fucked up, actually, to be like, because, like, that's, the thing is, there are actually people out there who are, like, pro-suicide, who, like, use this argument that you're, like, denying personal autonomy, and it's, like, it's just really fucked up, man. You know? It's really fucked up. Like, I don't know, this might be too deep to get into on stream. I mean, there's a reason I didn't read the actual chapter itself. So, I think I'll leave it at that for now. If you are interested to hear more details as to why this argument is, like, incredibly fucked up, then, like, I encourage you to look that up on your own time, but I'm gonna just leave it at that. John frowns. Dave opens his mouth to say something else, but he's cut off by Jade poking her head out of the church window. Dave, Roxy's wondering where you are. Oh, yeah, be right there. What about you, Carcat? You coming? Yes, God. Can't a man stand on a moist and dreary piece of religious property to help console his main bro? Jesus fuck, God forbid we upset the carefully orchestrated funeral programming, which just featured a segment wherein a deeply unpopular clown pissed himself in front of the clamoring paparazzi. Oh, Lord, you dumb baby. Carcat, it looks to me like you're the one third-wheeling Dave and John's poignant bro times, so why don't you just get your butt over here? Ugh, fine. Carcat stomps back towards the church, bickering with Jade his way across the graveyard. Dave adjusts his shades and puts a hand on John's shoulder. John, I get what you were trying to do, but it's okay, dude. I'm okay. John nods, swallowing hard. His throat is dry all of a sudden. Dave turns and walks back into the church. Once John is absolutely sure Dave is gone, he closes his eyes, breathes in deep through the nose, and raises both his hands. nothing happens. John cracks one eye open. It's been a while since he tried to do, well, anything more complicated than going out for dinner, to be honest. Has he just forgotten how to invoke his game powers? Do the windy thing, he thinks to himself. A brisk breeze hollows through the graveyard, rustling some leaves off a nearby tree. Nope, that's all good. Do the retcon thing? He thinks much, much harder than he thought about doing the last thing. Still nothing. That's weird. It was working just the other day. Shit's falling apart, my dude. He stares at his hands so hard that his head starts to hurt. So hard that he doesn't hear the footsteps sloshing through the wet grass behind him. When Roxy taps him on the shoulder, he yelps and shoots 6 feet up into the air. Oh, John, it's just me. John spins around to greet her. He hides his hands behind his back like he was doing something bad with them, which he guesses he was, kind of. Roxy shields her eyes against the rain and laughs. Doing okay up there, B? I'm fine. Wait, B? John lands softly, close enough to Roxy that she can slip a hand up his arm. Or slide a hand up his arm. Yeah, like short for babe. 'Cause you're my babe, B. Oh, haha. Right. John feels himself flush and runs an awkward hand through his hair. He's still a little embarrassed to show affection in public places like this. He slips a hand into the small of Roxy's back and feels a pang of guilt about what he saw transpire between Dave and Carcat earlier. Is Dave okay? Yeah, I guess. Are you okay? Yeah. Her gaze gets distance as she stares at something over John's shoulder. Whatever she's thinking about, it tugs a soft smile across her face. Yeah, actually, I'm more than okay, 'cause I've been thinking. Oh? Roxy starts dancing her fingers up John's chest. About you and me. And this. She boops him on the nose. Or bops him on the nose. She's having a baby and the baby is you. Oh, Jesus Christ. Hey, John. We should get hitched. John stares at where Roxy's finger is still pressing down on his nose and goes a little cross-eyed as his brain tries to process what she just said. What? What? John, come on. Marry me. Like, John looks around the graveyard nervously. Right now? LMAO, totes. We're already at the church and everything. Oh my god. Oh my god. John? Oh my god, are you serious? Roxy starts laughing so hard she has to wipe away a tear. She leans in to give John a quick chest kiss on the lips. No, lol. John, you take everything so literally. It's fucking adorbs. Is that why you want to marry me? Yeah, I'm off the charts with all my jokes and shit. And I gotta even all that out with this, like, huge helping of clueless nerd. Roxy. Okay, but let's be serious here a moment. I actually do love that you're so earnest. It's cute as fuck, and also, I always know where I stand with you. Roxy, besides this whole thing with Dirk, it's made me realize that even though we're immortal, we're not necessarily gonna live forever. Life's too short to not spend every moment with the one you love. The word hits John like a sucker punch to the gut. He goes breathless with shock, adrenaline pumping through him, his blood rushing in his ears. When he speaks, his voice is hoarse. You love me? Yeah, John, I love you. Want to marry you and spend the rest of my life with you and pop out a bunch of cute little buck-toothed babies with you. Oh, wow. Roxy, that's a lot. Well, you don't gotta answer right now. Just know it's on the table. He doesn't know what to think. He so doesn't know what to think that he's spiraling inside his head, shaking all over, damp with sweat. Something about this doesn't feel right. Just a few weeks ago, Roxy was happy with Calliope, and now she wants to have his babies? John feels like he's missing something important here, like he went for a bathroom break during the part of the movie where the plot twist happens. He should give Roxy some time, get himself some space. It's all happened so fast, it's suffocating. No, Romo. Yeah, it's just very out of nowhere. You know, and that, again, with that, feelings not feeling right, because it's the disconnected Candy timeline. On the other hand, isn't that how love's supposed to feel? Like a quick plunge into the cold water, or a feeling that grows unexamined and then gets so big that the realization washes over you like a wave. Roxy's unbearably beautiful, with moisture clinging to her eyelashes and a smile that she's only smiling because of how much she likes him. She likes him so much that she wants to be around him every single day. John's stomach feels like it's doing pirouettes. His hands come up around Roxy's shoulders and keep going until he's cupping her face with both hands. He starts giggling. Okay, let's do it. Roxy wiggles her eyebrows. Ooh, you want to do it? Yeah, yeah, that too, but I meant about the getting married thing. Let's do that. Let's totally get married. Roxy practically attacks John's mouth. She's so excited. John shuts his eyes and kisses her back, still giddy and laughing against her lips. She kisses him until they're both breathless, then pulls back so she can gaze at him with glittering eyes. OMG, we're gonna be so freaking happy. Wow, that sounds like famous last words once again. Everybody, we're gonna be so happy. Everything's gonna be so happy, wonderful, happy, happy, lovely, lovely. Okay. Okay. So, it is like almost 20 minutes past when we're supposed to take break. So, I'm gonna flash up that break sign. And we are actually going to take break now. Gonna take 5 minutes. And then we'll be back with chapter 16. Chapter 16, this is another long one. Okay. Back in 5. Greetings and welcome back. It has been 5 minutes, and it's time to hop back into reading. Okay, get that break text off the screen. And 16, we are back with John and Terezi. And I believe this is another time jump chapter. Yes, we can see John. It's months after the wedding. So this is, indeed, we're seeing another big leap in time here. Not that big. There's a much larger leap when all of a sudden we're, 10 years in the future? For the last few chapters there. But we're definitely seeing another few months go by here. At the very least. Hey, Terezi, guess where I am right now? Your human wedding. Considering that humans are the only species on Earthsea with the concept of weddings, technically all weddings are human weddings, so there's really no reason to qualify it like that, Terezi. When did you get so hung up on semantics? When I became a real adult. Speaking of which, no, I am not at my human wedding. That was months ago. What? You forgot. I thought you said you'd try to make it back in time for it. John, I talked to you yesterday. Wow. I knew time moved differently out there than it does here, but that's really something else. It's been almost 6 months for me. Okay, there's the quantifier. 6 months. Okay, well, in that case, I guess I can forgive you for missing my wedding. You can do that if you want, but I never actually asked for your forgiveness. And I have no intention of apologizing. Pfft, it's not me you need to apologize to. Everyone really wanted to see you. Kanaya, Dave, and Karkat have all asked about you like a zillion times. Really? A zillion? Okay, I'm obviously exaggerating for effect, but they've asked a lot. Karkat says you've been ignoring his messages for literal years at this point. Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, why am I the only one you ever answer? I mean, we weren't even that close, were we? Not like you were with him. Don't overthink it, Egbert. You were just the most annoying about being ghosted. Far too annoying to ignore. Thanks, Terzi. I'll have that one put on my tombstone. Yes, please do. Immortalize my peerless brutal dunkings. I get the impression that everyone is going way too easy on you in my absence. Oh yeah, it's seriously horrible. I'm suffering under all the positive attention from my caring friends. So, how was your default culture paramating event? That's not spelled properly. My wedding? Good, I guess? Really good, actually. You should have seen Roxy. She was so beautiful in her dress. I mean, there were some awkward patches, but it was mostly okay. Awkward patches? Like what? Was Gamzee there? Yeah, but he wasn't that bad for once. He mostly just hung out by the punch and tried to touch Jake's ass. Jake... Oh god, okay, see, the worst part was when Roxy had to throw the bouquet, right? Jake and Jane are kinda, together now. Oh god. And she basically ordered Jake to catch the bouquet or else. I was seriously afraid for him. And then he didn't even catch it. More. You think Terzi could spell? I know it's just a thing that was missed in editing because this is a massive piece of writing. But every time I come across a little thing, I'm just like, oh, this is a thing. Also, seriously afraid for him. Maybe that should be an alarm bell. That you should, maybe at least attempt an early intervention into that mess. Why did she want it so bad? Is it edible? Whoever catches the bouquet is the next couple to get married. Huh? Is that law in human culture? Oh, no. There's no law. Then what sort of binding contract exists surrounding the bouquet to make it so desirable? None. It's just a thing humans do for fun. So it's a superstition. I'd call it more of a tradition, although in the case of Jane and Jake, superstition might be a more appropriate word. This story has a lot of extraneous details. You're really bad at gossiping. Do you know that, John? Get to the juicy bits. Who caught the bouquet? Well, it was Jade. Jade and Dave and Karkat. All three of them? Does that mean... Isn't maybe that's an alarm bell? Isn't the entire mood for this epilogue? Yes, it absolutely is. Maybe that should be setting off some alarms. Think that's a red flag. Anything along those lines is the accurate summation of the reading through the entirety of the early epilogues. Dog whistle, all that kind of, any kind of references like that. It's just like, wow, that's bad. Maybe you should do something about it. And then nothing is done. Yes. Yeah, they're all dating. Or rather, Jade is dating them both. Dave and Karkat haven't exactly figured things out yet. And as much as I love Jade, I don't actually think she's helped matters by putting herself in the middle of it. Somehow that doesn't seem right. I know. And that's why it was so messed up that Jade caught the bouquet. Now I have to pretend to laugh and think it's funny when she makes jokes about being the next to tie the knot. Wow, did she really go for that double entendre? What? What? What do you mean? Never mind. I feel like I've spoken before about how the way in particular that they cover, like, they, like, kind of make it canon that Jade has, like, dog genitals. And it's handled in a very weird way where it only ever comes up if it's, like, the butt of a joke. Yes, if only Dirk and his impeccable sense of rationality were here, he would save us all. Oh my god. Anyway, sounds like a tough life, Egbert. Har har. Okay, you're right. Things are pretty good right now, if that's the worst thing I have to complain about. Things will probably work out with those three anyway. Things always work out between old friends. We've all known each other for too long for anything to cause a permanent rift. Oh, buddy, don't you know that's how fucking wrong that is. That is incorrect. There's no such thing as a length of time too long for things to get a bit fucky. So, if you're not at your human wedding right now, where are you? Huh? Oh my god, are you serious? You have the memory of a cuttlefish. You opened this conversation by asking me to guess where you are right now. Oh, I'm at the hospital. Are you bleeding? What the hell, Tersey? No, I'm not fucking bleeding. Oh, that's unfortunate. In that case, are you okay? Yeah. Actually, I'm more than okay. I'm great. I'm not here for me. It's for Roxy. She's pregnant. Pregnant? It means that we're going to have a baby. I know what pregnant means, John. It just seems kind of fast. Well, it's what happens when people get married, except it's only been 6 months, so technically something happened before you fucking got married. Glad Tersey is still Tersey. I know, me too. I love Tersey so much. She's just, from my first read-through of Homestuck even, held such a special place in my heart. I always just loved her so fucking much. And she's such a grounding character in the epilogues here, where everything else is, like, twisting in weird ways. And then there's Tersey, who is still Tersey, whom I love with my whole heart. My whole big gay heart. Are humans not capable of having sex unless they enter a contractual arrangement? God damn it, Tersey. Well, aren't they? Of course they are, but marriage is what makes it special. What? Oh, nothing. You're just so... Let me guess. So dumb, blah blah. Well, that too, but I was actually going to say adorable. What? I have to get going. It's not safe where I am. Go see your mates, John. I'll talk to you later. Yeah, okay. Take care of yourself, Tersey. I always do. And then, oh, and then we get the introduction of this horrific concept. Moment of silence for the fact that that's a thing that happens. Hey, Tersey, I have something to tell you, and you're not going to believe it. I already heard about how Jane is dating both Jake and Gamzee, and unfortunately I do believe it. I definitely could have lived without seeing the visual evidence, however. No, Wait, how do you know about that? I lied about you being more annoying than Karkat. Karkat is still the most astonishingly annoying person I know. Oh, so you talked to him? And Dave. Just for a bit. This was an incredibly hot piece of gossip, and I couldn't trust you to deliver it with the air of gravitas it deserved. That's probably true. The whole Jane Gamzee thing is freaking me out, actually. I mean, they're technically my parents, and a version of Jane was literally my nana, and now she's having sex with Gamzee. Ugh, never mind. I don't even want to think about it. Haha, I hope you haven't seen the picture Dave took. Dave has a picture? Wait, never mind. I don't want to know, and I definitely don't want to see it. Very well, your loss. It certainly is something to behold, though, I must say. Whatever. So, what did you think, talking to Dave and Karkat? Did they seem happy? Nope. Oh my god, I know, right? The whole thing is such a mess. It's hard to be in the same room with them these days. I don't even know the full story because Dave won't talk to me about it anymore, and Jade seems to think that everything's going just fine. Karkat had some choice words to say about Jade's lackluster blackrom conduct. So, he doesn't think the situation is great either? No, Jade is definitely not in hate with him, and it shows. Yeah, Jade doesn't exactly have a whole lot of hate inside her. In fact, it's probably the opposite. I think she was alone for so long that it's like she stored up this huge reservoir of love and she has no idea how to put a dam on it. I think she means well, and in most ways she's really smart, but socially speaking, I think she might be kind of an idiot. Oh, jeez. I mean, she's not doing great in this particular situation, no. That's putting it lightly. How does Karkat feel? He's not colligonous for her either. If I had to give my assessment of what's grown between them from my brief observation of the situation, I'd describe it as resentment. Oh no. Resentment can be fine in a short-term black affair if the goal is just to fill pails and avoid culling, but in a sustained romantic rivalry it will always spell ruin. Just like in a colligonous relationship, how it's important for you to be able to communicate with your cosmesis. Really? Of course. A true cosmesis is just as much your life partner as your mate spirit is. You wish you could see that. I'm not sure if I agree. I'm guessing you're referring to the photo that Dave took. Just because I've realized I haven't looked down at chat in a bit, so I'm not 100% sure which part of the dialogue you wish you could see. Huh. I had no idea. Not to be culturally insensitive, but I thought it was just like you'd meet up every once in a while to do, like, hate makeouts. John, you are being extremely culturally insensitive. Sorry. You can't just say not to be something and then go ahead and be exactly that. It is automatically problematic. I mean, like, I know it's trying to be caged in a certain phrasing, but like that's pretty true. You can't be, like, not to be insert X thing here, insert comment that is exactly that here, and expect it to just like automatically pardon you. Not how that works, my friend. I'm just asking questions. Xenophobic questions, it would seem. Man, not you too. To what? Pointing out stuff that's xenophobic all the time. But in a way where you probably don't even mean it? Don't even mean it. Why wouldn't I mean it? Is cultural sensitivity a joke to you? All I'm getting at is, you've been talking to Dave a lot, haven't you? I keep my correspondences with Strider well within reasonable parameters, just like I do with you. To be honest, much less than you. Who even has the time for the nonsense of cool kids these days? Time? You got nothing but time, apparently, flying around out there for God knows how much longer. Why don't you just give it a rest already and come back? I cannot rest while the mission remains incomplete. You know this. Seriously, it's beautiful back here on Earthsea, Terezi. So peaceful and harmonious. You should come check it out sometime. I'll pass. Anyway, as I was saying, just like with human romantic relationships, there are all kinds of kismicissitudes. Wow, you changed the subject back so fast, I think I got whiplash. Yeah, she really doesn't want to talk about going back to Earth. Because, you know, she's so determined to find Vriska, but, like, it's not... She's losing a little faith, probably. Wants to avoid the subject, to avoid talking about how she's already kind of losing her faith. Yes, some kismesis relationships are of the nature you described, but not all of them. The point of a kismesis is not just to make you annoyed or even angry. They should push you to better yourself. They should shine a light on the things about yourself you would otherwise ignore or deny. Huh. Is that why... Why what? Is that why you're so determined to find her? It is, isn't it? No, Vriska and I were... I can't explain it. It's just not as simple as you're making it out to be. Alright. Besides, between us, things are always so... weird? Dramatic. And I think I've cosmically had my fill of dramatic black relationships for a long time. If I were ever to do black rom again, it would have to be low-key. You know, gentle teasing, vaguely antagonistic feelings gems, someone who I could both torment and have an honest conversation with. When you put it that way, I guess maybe it doesn't sound so bad. She's literally describing the relationship that she has with John. Thank you for your cultural sensitivity. I have high hopes for you, Egbert. One day, I hope I'll be able to introduce you to friends and say, this is John. He's not xenophobic. Oh yeah? Well, one day, I hope to introduce you to people and say, hi, this is Terezi. She doesn't suck shit. Oh! And then, like, you know, she describes the exact relationship that they have, and then they go on to give a smashing example of exactly the kind of ribbing they do with each other that makes them fucking a really good black relationship. Okay. This is gonna be another fucking long one, isn't it? All of the chapters in Candy are so fucking long. Okay. I'm probably gonna go overtime with this one, but it's like not even 15 minutes to yet. So fuck it. I will go for this one. Also, this is just a hilarious chapter. This is the one with the phrase. I think this is the one where it uses the phrase, like, Rose stops breastfeeding Vriska, and it's just like, what the fuck? "17. 3 months later, John is still thinking about his last conversation with Terezi. It's kind of impossible not to, when Rose and Kanaya keep saying the name Vriska every 5 minutes. He really thought they were done with hearing about Vriska all the time, but apparently Rose and Kanaya were intent on breathing new life into that tradition. Vriska, don't chew on your chair's dinner tray. Darling, she is only a grub. She hasn't yet grown her oral canals. Yes, but I believe strongly that we should get in the habit of speaking to her like an adult. It will be good for her social development. Is that how your mother raised you? I would have loved it if my mother spoke more frankly with me, but she was... Let's just say a rather awkward person. No offense, Roxy. LMAO, none taken. I can't even imagine all the ways I'd fuck up a kid in a timeline where I didn't sort out my drinking, TBH. Oh, you weren't awful. I just have... How would you always put it? How do you always put it, dear? A penchant for melodrama. Well, yeah, your dad made sure he got some of himself in you. I suppose he did. And then everyone in the room observes a moment of silence for their dear departed friend, Dirk Strider. Except for John, who takes advantage of the solemn distraction to anxiously tap at his phone. He'd sent Terezi a text an hour ago when Roxy was fixing her makeup in her compact. He's not sure why he feels the need to hide the fact that he's talking to her. It's not like there's anything untoward about what he's doing. Just texting an old friend. What's wrong with that? Nothing at all, he thinks, as he closely monitors his silent, praying wife, ready to stash the phone in his pocket the moment she shows the slightest sign of movement. She lifts her head to speak. He's like Houdini with that phone. Yeah, because he, it's on that, subconscious level, but he fucking knows there's something more than just texting an old friend, air quotes, going on with Terezi. And he feels fucking guilty about it. Damn, I still can't believe Dirk's gone, though. Yes, it was sudden. Yes, it was so sudden. But the best we can do to honor him is simply to move on with our lives. I'm sure it's what he would have wanted. Huh? Yeah, that's just pardon? Egotistical Dirk wanted them to just move on with their lives? What? John shoots Rose a weird look. She smiles back benignly, then goes to collect her troll daughter from her booster seat. She holds baby Vriska close to her chest and leans over to give Kanaya a kiss on the cheek. The precious grub is framed between them, and the two wives are ringed in the halo of pale light at the peak of this magical moment. It should be a beautiful image, but something about it roils John's gut. Rose sits back down, cradles Vriska in one arm, and begins to unbutton the top of her shirt with the other. John instinctively finds something else to look at. Anything. His fidgeting hands will do. Have you two thought about what to name your grubs? It's just one grub, lol. Oh, that's a relief. I've actually been very worried about your well-being, considering how human grubs are born. Why? Dirk would never advocate moving on from anything. Precisely. That is precisely what makes that such a jarring thing for Rose to say. Dirk would absolutely never advocate just fucking moving on. That's not him. Well, don't they have to eat their way out of the womb? Kanaya. It's what Karkat told me. Karkat gets all his information on humanity from the movies, and Dave, which is even worse than the movies. Wait a fucking minute. What movies are they watching? Nothing too graphically misleading, I suspect. I equally suspect that any time there's a human birthing moment on camera, Karkat probably turns away, too disgusted to watch, while Dave continues filling his ear with more lies about human biology. Lol. Then I was given inaccurate information. Yes. Whew. If that was true, how would our species have survived? We would have had a 100% maternal mortality rate during childbirth. Yes, I forget how primitive medical technology was on your planet. Then how are humans born? Use your head for a moment, darling. Oh, I see. I fucking love that little moment. She's just, how are babies made? How are babies born? And Rose is just, use your head for a moment, darling. Just think for a second. You'll get it. Oh, my. I'm sorry, John. All this, I hate that don't put ciscentric language into Rose's mouth. Don't do that. I don't like that. I'm sorry, John. All this girl talk must be making you uncomfortable. Can we change the subject to something less gross and weird? Pfft, wuss. Oh my god, I totally missed that on the first read through. John calls fucking talking about birth gross and weird, and Roxy calls him a fucking wuss. Aww. That's golden. Sis Rose. Cursed. So, is Vriska really the name you're going with? Through the Jesse, Jesus Christ. Can I give talking in words. Okay. Kanaya gives John an inquisitive, wide-eyed look, as if there could be no conceivable reason for someone to ask this question. Yes, of course. Why would we change her name when she's nearly a year old? Well, it's not like it would hurt or anything. Didn't Kanaya just say she doesn't have ears yet? Gee, John, don't be rude. I'm not trying to be rude. I just think it's a little weird. I don't see why. I mean, she is practically a clone of Vriska. Yeah, Kanaya, I know. That's why it's weird. I appreciate your concern, John, but it's not that weird to name a child after an important figure from your youth. What were you thinking of naming your own child? So, here's the thing that bothers me about them naming her Vriska, okay? The whole thing with the ancestors is that they have different fucking names. Arania's name was not also Vriska. Arania's name was Arania. Like, ancestor does not equal named after that person. Yeah, I know, right? And of course Rose is getting ready to throw that exact argument right back in his face. Like, I'm sorry, John, who are you naming your child after? But, yeah, it's just like, it's pretty sure they're just like kind of bastardizing the ancestral system. I don't know. Bastardizing is probably too strong a word. I'm just riffing, but John hesitates, adjusts his glasses for want of something to do with his hands. This is a conversation he'd been dragging his heels on for months. Back when Roxy first got pregnant, it was all they talked about. But now that she's so close to the due date, all the subject does is make his pulse go shaky. Oh, that's right. No, I fucked up when I was reading the line from Terzi. I was like, oh, it's only been 6 months. Haha. But, like, then they're at the hospital and my brain immediately went, having baby. But no, this whole scene happens and it was not... Yeah. No, that was just a checkup because those things happen when you're pregnant. Okay. Moving on from my own silly time mistake. That's why I'm not a fucking hero of time. Right. Harry Anderson Egbert. Roxy, I didn't think we were decided on that. I don't know, you seem pretty set on it. He was. What's bugging him about it is that Roxy didn't seem to have any suggestions of her own. Rose Fuck this fucking line! Rose stops breastfeeding Vriska and hands her off to Kanaya. She comes to sit beside John, setting a hand on his knee. She speaks kindly. Okay. Rose stops breastfeeding Vriska is such a mind-boggling turn of phrase. Like, what the fuck? Rose stops breastfeeding Vriska. Like, there's so many... Why is Rose breastfeeding a troll grub? What implications does this have for Troll's ability to process milk? Is this actually I read a Twitter thread a while ago, and I wish I had the link still. I wish I had bookmarked it. I wish I remember who wrote it. But it was an entire thread talking about how because of all of the implications of trolls having more links to, like, insect or bug, like, physiognomy, that milk would, and breast milk would probably, like, seriously hurt them. And, like, I wish I still had the link to that, because it was surprisingly detailed. Oh god, Aleph, that's so fucking cursed. God damn it. Ugh. Yeah, that sounds like that's, like, it reads like something straight out of a fucking fetish fic. Like, that's... If you were not paying attention before, you're paying attention now, because what the fuck was that? Wasn't that a guy from Night Court? Yeah, which was a show that reminds you of your father. I think that in this new world we've created, it's important to carry the torch of what we've left behind us. We must name the generation for the fallen heroes that we admire. Wait, we admire Vriska now? Big fucking mood. I'm right next to John with this one. I'm sorry, we're doing who what now? Are we really? Is that where this is? It's true that Vriska was a controversial figure, even at the best of times, but she did defeat Lord English, John. This remark seems to cure John of his shaky pulse problem, if only because for a moment his heart seems to stop beating altogether. It shocks him in a way that causes him to feel the planet turning under his feet. He whips his head up to look at Rose intently. She seems alert. Her gaze is precise. She doesn't seem ill or off or confused at all. No, she didn't? Vriska didn't defeat Lord English. Rose doesn't say anything. No one says anything. Rose, no one knows what happened to Lord English. Of course we do. Vriska used the Juju and her accompanying ghost army to defeat him. Why else would we be here? I don't think that's what actually happened, though. Then what did happen, John? I just said. No one knows. Rose, come on. You're the one who told me all this. I told you what? About a year ago. You were feeling bad and asked me to come over. And then you gave me this big speech about canon and being, like, outside canon and not canon and other shit like timelines and fates and my anime dreams. A land of contrast. Yeah, there's... Oh my. Fucking Vriska. That's all in the past, John. Everything worked out in the end. Why are you getting so upset about this? Yeah, great. Fucking gaslight the hell out of him. Sure, this is a perfect way to take this conversation. You gave me a list of instructions and told me that I had to use my retcon powers to go back to a very specific point in time to defeat Lord English when he was still just a kid. And you told me I had to do this to validate the sequence of reality, but I didn't. I was all ready to go. I thought I was going to die, honestly. But then you... John swivels around to point a finger at his wife. It comes across as more accusatory than he means it to be. Roxy, you and Calliope told me that I had a choice. And I made my choice, which is why I ended up staying. But did it really all work out in the end? If I didn't stop Lord English, then... Are we even really here at all? Oh, existential crisis time. Oh dear. The three gals in the room exchange a series of concerned glances. Do they truly think he's crazy? Are they hiding something from him? John can feel himself trembling. It's not possible that he's remembering this wrong, is he? Is it? It can't be. If he presses his eyes shut, he can still see the lines of the black hole cracking space apart around him. It seemed like such a big deal at the time, and then suddenly it felt like nothing at all. Why? Roxy leans over and sets a cool hand on John's forehead. You doing okay there, babe? I'm fine. You're the one's not doing okay, he nearly shouts, but then he realizes it's just going to make him sound crazier than he already looks. He brushes Roxy's hand away and stands abruptly, looking woozy and sweating at the temples. His skin is tight and clammy, too hot and too cold all at once. I just need some fresh air. Want me to come with you? Want me to come with you? No, no. I need a moment alone. I think I'm just getting those, new dad jitters. Haha, that must be it. Oh, of course, that makes sense. Take care of yourself, hun. John grabs his coat and sprints out of the hive. He vaults into the air and follows the breeze up, coasting over the tree line and out of the troll suburb that Kanaya and Rose have made their home in. Furiously, he begins typing on his phone. Terzi, I know that you've got important stuff to do out there in Paradox Space, but I really need to hear from you. On my side, it's been months since we last talked, and I can't figure out if it's because I said something wrong or if it's because something terrible happened to you. Things here on Earth are... John shuts his eyes for a moment and takes a deep breath. The breeze that rattles over the forest seems foul somehow. Stale, like air that's been recycled multiple times over. They're not great. I mean, on the surface, everything is fantastic. Everyone is so happy, and it finally seems like we're all making real progress as adults. But at the same time, everyone is also acting crazy. I feel like I'm the only sane person left in this entire universe. I'm the only one who seems to care about anything. I mean, care about anything bigger. Bigger than, like, what to name a baby, or who's stuck in a terrible relationship with who. Oh my god, this probably sounds so pathetic. Terzi, I'm seriously pathetic. It's so selfish of me to even be messaging you at all. I've got a beautiful wife who loves me, but it's not enough. I can't even talk to her about what we're going to name our stupid kid without it turning into some weird thing where she goes along with whatever I want. Even when all I want is for her to want something different than what I want. Okay, wait. I take that back. Our kid's not stupid. Well, okay, he hasn't been born yet, so maybe he'll turn out to be stupid eventually. What do I know? Oh. Anyway, the point is, I'm just popping off on random things at people who don't deserve it because I'm really upset right now. Not at anyone in particular, probably just at myself. Like, wow, can you believe how shitty I'm being right now? You could be dead for all I know, yet here I am begging for your attention even though my life is perfect. But I don't know who else I can talk to. Even Rose is acting weird all of a sudden. I guess what I'm trying to say is, you're the only thing that still makes sense to me, Terzi. Right now, I just really need you. Please come make some sense at me. Ugh. Yeah, so John is... he's just feeling so fucking isolated because everything is twisting around him and he's like, whoa. Doesn't feel right. Doesn't feel right. Things around here do not feel right. And no, he's just very fucking isolated. But I mean, yeah, it's weird. It's like on one hand, you know, it's this isolation of feeling like everything is twisting around him. But on the other hand, there are certain things that he has an issue with that if he... It doesn't seem like he's tried to talk to, for example, you know, I mean, we see this spiral out of control later, but it doesn't seem like he really has tried to talk to Roxy at this point about her just agreeing with everything. You know? But yeah, there's a lot. Oh dear, John. John notices his fingers are shaking. He makes a conscious effort to keep them still and exhales. Come make some sense at me? Good lord. He's got to pull it together before he blurts out something really embarrassing. He braces himself as if splashing an imaginary glass of cold water on his own face, and reminds himself once again that he has a wonderful life. A perfect life. He's happy, god damn it. This just reminds me so much of, like, mental illness does not care what state your life is in. You could have everything that, you know, John is saying should make for a happy life. You could have everything you ever wanted. But if you're going through some shit, if you are experiencing depression, doesn't matter. You are still gonna feel like awful garbage. And this kind of like, you know, he's like guilt tripping himself. You know, invalidating his own feelings here. He's about to pocket his phone when he catches some movement at the bottom corner of the screen. It's an indication that someone is typing. He stops breathing until the text actually appears. Okay, loser, tell me what happened this time. Oh, Tersey. Oh, God. Well, sure I am glad we're stopping here. I mean, we'll pick back up next Friday, but, God, this is a mess of a chapter. Wow. Gamzee sure does exist here. Okay, let's get the fuck away from that. It is 7 after 1, which means it is the end of our evening. Alright. Thanks so much for joining me. Thanks for hanging out. We'll be back at it again next weekend, which will be the last set of Homestuck Epilogue streams before I have to skedaddle the hell out of here for camp. Whoo, boy, that's coming up soon. Okay. Yes. So, okay. Tuesday, July 2nd, will be Dream Daddy stream. I do believe we are readying ourselves for the next date. Keep it on your mind whether you think we should keep going with Matt or maybe try going on a date with one of the other dudes. So that's how Dream Daddy streams are going. That's how what's coming up for that one. And then on the weekend, once again, we're going to be resuming Epilogues Chapter 18. Chapter 18. Yeah, we're going to be reading that mess. But, of course, there's other better chapters after Chapter 18, you know. Okay. That is all for Homestuck streams this weekend. Hopefully I will be seeing you all for streams next week as well. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, whatever you may be getting up to, and we're gonna finish off Squiddles in Paradise to play us out.